Welcome, welcome, welcome to this another episode of Ask Me How I Know, the podcast where I make every attempt to convey to you the truth in my deep belief that healing is possible, magic is real, and love is the answer. This week I am recording from the bed at my beach hotel room at a phenomenal staff retreat where I have been resting, relaxing, doing yoga, and eating delicious meals with my colleagues who are all dope, brilliant, black and brown people, primarily women who are. Just working at different intersections of their own growth and community leadership and support and professionalism. And I can literally talk all day about how amazing each of these humans are. And I won't do that because I'm not quite sure how long the hotel's Wi Fi bandwidth will allow me to record and upload to the cloud. Last time it cut me off at 15 minutes. So I'm going to try and keep this episode brief, but I hope you can hear the relaxation and joy in my voice as I lay here rubbing my feet together after just having eaten the rest of my leftovers in bed. Okay, like we are cozy in the king size with the hotel robe on, and the fireplace is a crackling. Um, in the room. Okay, so get into it. Um, this week, I want to talk to you about, um, you know, you got to go when spirit says so. You got to listen when spirit is speaking to you, and oh, you hear it, and when you don't listen, um, that's how you get dragged. You know, when you're not really responding to the whisper, to the nudges, to the um, innuendos, the little caress, the tickle, the tingle, the angel numbers, the dream sequence. When you're just not when you're in a place of deflection because you don't really want to hear that noise. You don't necessarily want to do that work that comes along with the message that spirit is sending you. So you go on about your business all up in the ego, feeling like you have some control over a thing. um, I want to talk to you about how I continue to live into an experience that I had about 5 years ago, back in 2019, with the person that I met at a conference um, in Albuquerque. And this person shared a Bible story with me. And at the time, it was kind of, if you've ever been um, prophesized to or proselytized to. I don't know if like I told y'all last week, I grew up in the church. And while I am currently in the Iyawo in Lukumi, which is a traditional African religion in a Cuban extension of Ifa, I still got church in me. You know what I mean? Still got the church very much in me. I was a preacher's grandbaby, which is basically being a preacher's kid because I grew up in an intergenerational household, and we out here knowing what we know. And so this is not a sermon. I might cuss. I'm gonna try real hard not to. Um, but this particular Bible story, in the way that it was passed down to me, this person saw something in me, saw into me, and then poured into me as a contribution these words that have continuously been a bit of a light unto my path, or a spark of inspiration in moments where I become exhausted, or tend to belabor decision making and going against what I know in my heart of hearts is right for me. So it ties into discernment and patience and presence, um, and, you know, commitment and all the things, which is also why I'm recording this episode from bed tonight so that I can stay in line with my commitment that I made to myself to share a weekly podcast with y'all. So it kind of all gels together. But we're going to go from an escape room in a mall in Los Angeles to Nineveh and how Jonah ended up in the belly of a large fish or whale, as the story was told at my vacation Bible school back in the day. So stick with me. I'm going to try to stay as linear in my storytelling and sense making as possible, but y'all give me grace as I am clearly excited and filled with a lot of joy and gratitude for this experiment and opportunity to have your attention. So, here is how I know that you have to go when spirit says so. So, today I went to an escape room with my phenomenal team, whose praises I just sang at the top of the show. Um, and it was a phenomenal experience, one that I don't think any of us expected going in. And that is kind of the excitement about any experience. When you allow yourself to be present in the moment, in the activity, instead of anticipating what could go wrong and being in a place of anxiety or projecting something from the past into your future and anticipating some type of hardship or stress or fear. Now, it's a very normal thing to do when you are um, about to experience something that you've never done before, or perhaps even something that you've done before and not enjoyed yourself. Because I have done an escape room as a team builder with coworkers before and did not have fun. Okay. It was everything but fun. It was stressful. I tried to get out of it. I tried to cancel it on grounds that it was culturally insensitive for us to pretend to be Tomb Raiders. They were like, okay, fine, girl, hard eye roll, Miss DEI. And then instead booked us on an escape room where we ended up, tracking down a serial killer to identify where he had buried the bodies of his victims, who were predominantly women. So, and it was in Alaska, so I'm guessing that everybody was white, but still, it was trauma, right? So, being locked in a room with my colleagues and, digging up, like searching for bones and remnants of bodies was like wild. Did not have fun. Now, the job that I have now, the people that I work with, I love them down, okay, and feel safe and seen with them. So, yay for me, and yay for getting to this point in my personal life and professional career. Also, there was a lot of opportunity for me to project my experience with my previous workplace trauma and my anxiety and just my not wanting to um, into this experience that could have made it hella shitty, right? So we walk into this mall. It is like the land that time forgot. Like the mall is still felt like it was maybe giving like 2004 energy. But the stores were nice, but the hours of operation of the mall were still kind of maybe COVID-y. Some stores didn't open until 4 p.m. It's the middle of the week. Some stores were not open yet. It was very quiet and eerie in the mall. And as we wandered through the mall looking for different site maps, trying to find the location of the escape room booth, I was like, yo, what if I was like, this is really meta. Like, what if the mall is the escape room and like, this is just, we're already here. We already did it already, right? Perhaps that was some anxious energy offloading to make a joke. But at the same time, it was really a moment that I was having like, I have no idea what's going to happen next, no clue where I'm going, but I'm out here trusting that there is a value in the experience I'm about to have with these people, right? And that ended up being true. The escape room was fantastic. It was a great game. I don't remember the name of the game. I have learned that game masters and escape room culture is a thing that people are heavily invested in and explore as a hobby. And there's like teams that take trips and people who really like go big on escape rooms. I was entirely unaware of this phenomenon, but our experience in this escape room was dope. Our game master, Matt, was so cool and so talented. This man was the game master, the host. He gave us the instructions, took us inside. He was like on video as a playing a wizard. He did the voice of a woodland creature that helped give us hints and guide us through the space. He played like three different characters, and then was actually like the living person that we had to like free at the end who had been captured by this wizard, it was motherfucking Matt in a prison costume. Like he had climbed inside. It was insane, but really a beautiful experience and a very thoroughly interactive escape room where the puzzles, the hints, the clues, the activities, the setup, the design were really great. And at one point, we end up in like an enchanted forest outside of the wizard's or the warlock's castle, where you have to go and rescue the wizard. And in this enchanted forest, when we came out of the first room, which is usually like the first space is usually like a dark square, like a smaller space or the smallest space in the activity. And once we had our first big win and opened up to get into the next level, into the next room, it was like sensory overload because it seemed to be an outdoor space. So me being the air sign that I am, I'm looking up, I'm looking around. There are things, there's birds chirping and doorbells ringing and things are making different noises and things start talking and it was just sensory overload. And I felt myself having that moment where I want everything and everybody to shut up. Like the way that my controlling part wants to come in and shut down anything that looks like it remotely, like even a little bit, if it resembles anxiety or overwhelm, I have a protector that comes in and is like, we are about to shut all this shit down right now. That can look like disassociation, where I just check out completely. It can look like agitation, where I want to control and tell everybody else to be quiet so that I can think, which is wild because, like, girl, what? Everybody else's mind is going through whatever they're going through. You don't get to silence them so that you can concentrate. Like, that's just not how this works. So it was an immediate invitation for self regulation for me. And when I noticed it, I said it out loud, not to anyone in particular, but I literally felt myself saying, oh, I'm experiencing sensory overload. And I was. So in that moment, I kind of peeled back from the crowd and started to like work the walls of the room just so that I could get a little bit of space and find something to focus on to ground myself, but still be engaged and look for another place where I might be able to be useful. So instead of completely dissociating and giving up and just like, becoming an energy vampire and clinging to one of my colleagues to follow them around to, fuck up whatever their process was, I decided to manage my own stuff. And in so doing, found a particular piece that I was like, I don't know what this is, but it moves and therefore it's going to be important. I stood there trying to figure out these knobs on a door to see what that had to do with opening the door, with no other information. It was like a clue that was out of context. That would come up later when after I was able to re-engage with the team and we started to put together some pieces, finding out information. Another trapdoor opens. One of my colleagues crawls through it, finds another thing that's like through a periscope window mirror situation into another room that she's peering into, and then directing us on which direction to turn the knobs to open this door. It was like, whoa, hella intense, right? But I'm thinking to myself, I had no idea what was on the other side of that wall. I never saw inside the trap door that my colleague went through in order to see the mirror. I never had her perspective. But at one point, her eyes and my hands were, and also the hands of two other teammates were essential in getting this puzzle solved so that we can make it through a door. And I thought about how so often in my life, I don't really know what's on the other side of the door. I might see something happening, have a dream about something, be kind of preoccupied or stuck on a minor detail that I feel some energy that is like, this might be of value soon, feeling some closeness or attraction to it, but not really knowing what that means yet. I am learning, y'all, how to be patient and stay present and to play and to be in a space of self leadership where I can acknowledge and respect my own boundaries, check in with myself without involving or becoming someone who needs to be rescued by my peers or colleagues, even though I know that if I do need help, I can ask for it and will get it. I love being able to discern, have the discernment around what my needs are moment to moment, and trust myself that I can meet that need by following this data that my emotions are giving me. Um, I'm feeling overwhelmed. That makes me a little cranky. Okay. Well, what does that mean that I need? I need some space. I need to ground. Okay, cool. I'm gonna walk over here and ground and touch this wall. And what am I noticing while I'm touching this wall? Well, just putting together all the pieces of things that I witnessed in the puzzle, but didn't have the perspective that was going to be necessary in order to unlock and see what is on the other side waiting for me. So there's all these values around community and teamwork and collaboration and witnessing and support and celebration that were really present and active for me today in this escape room. And I mean, the magic of it all, the fact that we are all Black and brown bodies in this space that are doing this work together, that we are, bound and committed to anti-oppression and radical healing, justice, and liberation. Like, yeah, like into self leadership. And we work with coaches, and we're coaches, training coaches, and building networks and community. It's like, really charming, but also it ain't even got to be that complicated. It really just is. You don't know what the future holds. But if you stay present, if you listen to the instructions and you move when it's time to move, especially as a unit, doors will open up, right? We will open doors. So we finished the puzzle. We liberated the wizard who had been captured. We laughed real hard. We had a ball. We collaborated. We didn't solve every single puzzle, but we solved a lot of them, and it was extraordinary and great. And so I spent the rest of the day really reflecting on how grateful I am and thinking about other times in my life where I saw a sign, had a clue, but really couldn't see what was on the other side of it. And I feel like that is also true for me now. And what it made me think of was a time in 2019 where I was at a conference that was an unconference gathering that was put on by uh, a then friend who is actually someone who is going to be joining the cohort of the next round of coaches that'll be participating in our 9-month training program. This person had put on and I haven't talked to them in a couple of years or about this, so I guess that's why I'm being vague, but it's not really important except for the fact that like it's a small world and things come full circle. Because if you had told me this would be happening 5 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I don't know. You haven't met all the people who are gonna love you yet, right? And like you don't know where relationships will go. But at this unconference gathering, um, I was in a certain place of grief, um, deep pain and loss. I was holding on to a relationship that was not healthy for me, that I was not showing up in fully, that I did not want to be in, but I was in such pain. I didn't want to lose another thing. Um, and also kind of fighting to like for my space and autonomy and liberation from this relationship. It was a really hard time. So we go to this mixer. It's my best friend Erica, whose name I will say often on the show, and she'll join me for episodes and we will kiki and have a real good time together in the near future. And my then partner. We go to this mixer for the first night of the unconference, and this amazing human comes up to me and is kind of kicking game in like a way that is, you know, she's like like an, I don't know, enigmatic Taurus, attractive but kind of, you know, um I'm flirting but not really flirting. This is just, the way that I ooze swag and drip flex. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, go off then. But this person tells me the story of Jonah, and not in the context of Jonah from the Bible, but giving me the context of how Jonah ended up in the belly of the whale. And so she starts by being like, the story of Jonah. And I'm like, yeah, the whale from the Bible? Like, you about to tell me a Bible story? Because again, I'm wholly on my bullshit and masking all the pain and trauma. And also, like, mad that my dude was even at the party because I'm like, can I get a moment away from you, please? It was just a hard night. But sure, I've heard the story of Jonah and the whale. Yeah. And the point, I won't say this verbatim because I don't remember verbatim. So I won't say like she said, um, but I will say that here is the essence of the nature of the story that stuck with me. Jonah ended up in the belly of the whale because Jonah didn't do what God told Jonah to do. Very clearly, God spoke to Jonah and said, you need to go to Nineveh. There are thousands of people in Nineveh who are not living righteous, and I need you to go and preach and spread the word, speak the word in Nineveh. And Jonah was like, not gonna be able to do it. Hard pass, bruh. God was like, no, I need you to go to Nineveh. Jonah was like, I ain't going to Nineveh. Like, nah, it's not happening. So, I don't know what that's like. Well, I do know what that's like, where you get an inkling, or a very clear directive about what you need to do. Start the business, quit the job, finish the resume, leave the relationship, start the relationship, ask that person out, eat this, not that. You just hear it very clearly in your whole spirit. And you will go to great lengths to deny whatever it is that you heard and be like, I'm not about to do that. Or you come up with a million reasons why you're not going to do that. You project, right? This is never going to work. I don't have the resources. All these things could go bad. What if this is a great risk? What if I fail? What if it hurts, right? I'm not going to do it. No. And we call that, like, agency and boundaries, right? Like, we really be bigging ourselves up like we've done our big one by being like, no, I'm not going to step into my greatness. I'm not going to do the hard thing. No. Look at all these reasons to stay small. So Jonah was like, hard pass, I'm not going. So instead of going to Nineveh, Jonah went to, so I can hear somebody saying it right now. That is not me. Um, Jonah did not go to Nineveh. Jonah went to Jaffa, right? So he was attempting to flee from the presence of the Lord. So not only did Jonah say, I'm not going, he said, I'm going in the opposite direction. I am running away from what you told me to do. So, how many times have you tried to get out of something that you knew you were supposed to do? Okay. I'm talking full blown jogging in the opposite direction of some shit that you were very clearly just told to do. Okay. So, Jonah said, or God told Jonah, go to Nineveh, speak the word to these people and tell them that the wrath is coming because I'm sick of their shit. Well, God didn't say that. This is maybe a tiny bit blasphemous. I told you I was going to try not to cuss. But Jonah ran from God and said, I'm going to Jaffa. So he gets in a boat. He catches a ride on a boat, right, with some sailors. Like, y'all, let me catch a ride with you. We gonna go. We going to Tarshish. Let me jump on board. So they're like, all right, come on. He picks up a ride. Come on with us. Jonah gets in the boat and a storm comes. And I mean, the storm comes and it's crazy. Like the storm is raging, raging. And the sailors are like, what? Bruh, it's got to be you. It's your fault. It says that they cast lots and they discovered, which is kind of like a, I don't know if you, um, casting lots is like rolling the dice or, throwing shells or, whatever. You could even say pulling tarot cards or drawing straws, whatever it was, whatever medium they used to divine the fact that Jonah was the problem. Because otherwise they were like, we don't even be having storms like this. What is you doing? What? It's you, bruh. You gotta go. Okay. And so Jonah is like, you're right. I am OTR from the Lord. I am running from a direct order from Sky Daddy. And that's probably why this storm is out here rocking us back, forth, and forth. And so Jonah is like, okay, well, you know what? Y'all, you should just, if you throw me overboard, the storm will stop. Y'all should kill me. Now, I can't I'm not going to throw myself. I'm not going to jump off the boat, but if y'all were to throw me off the boat, then that would surely like get me out of the bind that I'm in with the big guy, right? The sailors are like, "You're tripping. We don't want to do you like this." They really tried not to, but eventually they throw Jonah overboard. And as a result, they call it a sacrifice. And as a result, the storm calms. Well, as we know, Jonah does not die. Jonah gets swallowed by a large fish or a whale. Now, I kind of want to back up a little bit because, like, did you ever take your bullshit to somebody else and then your bullshit starts to bleed into their bullshit? You know what I mean? Like, you're running from your mission and purpose. So now you're in the way of somebody else achieving their mission and purpose and doing their assignment. They're doing their work, but you are so busy trying to be distracted from the thing that you ought to be doing that you in somebody else's face, in somebody else's way. You can choose differently, beloved. You don't have to do that. But Jonah gets swallowed up in or by this large fish, okay? And stays in the belly of this fish for 3 days and 3 nights, okay? So those 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah is in there praying, having a whole reckoning because he still did not die. So Jonah's like, okay, well, about how I had said that I wasn't gonna go to Nineveh. Um, I'm sorry, I was tripping because now I'm out here riding around like Pinocchio in this whale, and I just would really like a sandwich. Like, can I get some bread and water? It stinks in here. Like, dear God, I'm so sorry. So he prays to God, perhaps repents. I'm not sure whatever repentance is made in his commitment or rededication to the journey in the process of being, a good and faithful servant of God. And God on the third day or third night commands the fish to vomit Jonah out and says to Jonah again, go to Nineveh and tell all 120,000 of them that in 40 days Nineveh shall be overthrown. So here's the crux of the telling from this cocktail party in Albuquerque, that this person has decided to tell me this story over drinks and appetizers, small bites. You are either just the gist of the story is you're going to Nineveh. You get to choose. You don't have a choice in whether or not you're going. You only get to choose whether or not you want to arrive covered in fish guts. And y'all, hey, it's just a little It still really hits so hard. We think we have so much control. So much control. We can't even imagine that there is another energy, intuition, presence, spirit, God, universal law that is acting through us in our way of being and knowing, these energies that are frequencies that are a part of the collective consciousness of all of the living things on the planet Earth. We really believe that we have control to an extent that allows us to deny when spirit speaks so clearly, that we sometimes get afraid of the work that we would have to do. We project our fears and insecurities onto the situation. We don't know what is on the other side of the door. We don't want to collaborate with the people to our left and our right. We ask them to cast us out and deny us safe passage. We will give up our life in the name of not following what spirit has in store for us to reveal to us. But here's the thing. Once it's been set in motion and it has been decided, governed, it is written, it's a part of who you are here to become, you're going to Nineveh, yo. You're going. Now, when you get there, are you going to be covered in fish guts running through the streets talking about in 40 days the jig is up? Or can you walk in with your head high and deliver the message that you were destined to give? And y'all, I feel a little fish gutty about certain things in my life, but I am at a place now where I don't feel. I feel like I'm going to Nineveh without the fish guts. I'm gonna not take the boat. I don't want to take the boat ride. You know what I mean? I don't want to take the boat ride. I would rather just go ahead and go when I get the word, and to be when I get the directive, when I get the hint from the woodland creatures in the escape room that are like, yeah, you are locked in this box. You do not know how you're going to get out. There's some options. There's an emergency eject button inside the escape rooms that says, like, if you hit this, if there's an emergency and you need to get out of here and end this game, it is going to end your game. But no, there is a button you could push and all this shit'll stop. You know what I mean? It'll be game over for you if you want to end the game, or you can trust, or you can stay present, or you can listen and be open to others' perspectives, or you can be playful and enjoy yourself and laugh and have ease. You can really think about okay, so what is this clue trying to tell me? What do I notice around me? Is there a conversation that can be started here? And just, there's so many opportunities. And I often wonder what would have happened if Jonah had just went to Nineveh. Maybe it wouldn't have been as interesting. Maybe sometimes you got to get covered in fish guts so you can really get the lesson. And I have definitely been fish gutted. Been like, damn. I have been in a place where I felt like I was in the belly of the whale praying, like, oh shit. I done stepped in it. Here I am. Here it me again. Oh Lord, standing in the need. Um, and let me call and get a reading. Let me talk to, let me see what I can divine out of this. Let me pull some cards again and just get another answer other than the one that I got the last 4 times I knew that the answer was to stop. Yeah, I've been fish gutted like a mug. But I'm at a place now where, like, I am listening. I am present. I am here to be of practice in this presence. Like, let me see what happens when I choose differently. Yeah, notice the pattern and choose something else. This is how we can solve problems effectively. This is how we might be able to escape the things that have us bound up and stuck and lost and disoriented. So, yeah, fish guts, yo. You're going to Nineveh. You're going. You're going to the next level. Maybe it's grad school. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's a dance class. Maybe it's you know, art making. Maybe you're going to, I don't know, go on a date. Maybe you're, I don't know, going to learn a new hobby. Maybe you're going to finish reading that book. Maybe you're going to write the book. Oof, that was loud. Maybe I need to write the book. It's coming. These are all steps. I'm taking steps. I'm going to Nineveh. I just don't. Here's the thing. I'm not running. I'm not trying to be on the run away from what spirit is calling me to do and to be in this world. So, no fish guts, right? I don't want to have to pray. I don't want to have to know that prayer and have that prayer on call again um, because, it's been answered. I'd rather show up grateful and whole than soggy and smelly and sad and crying about the end of times. So, yeah, fish guts in the escape room. Didn't have it. Didn't happen. Did not happen. And got everything that my little heart desired out of the experience in the day. So, that is the story I wanted to share with you today. My tale of how I know that healing is possible. Healing is possible because 5 years ago, I was mad at that person. I was mad at that person for telling me that story. There was a part of me that was offended. Like, how she don't even know me like that. Even though I knew that the message was mine. I felt it. I was very clear. Um, I felt vulnerable and a little embarrassed by the clarity and the visibility and the vulnerability that came along with it. Made me uncomfortable. So I acted like an asshole about it and tried to figure out how to deflect. And that wasn't cool, but it was what my parts needed to do to keep me in some perceived state of safety at the time. So, yeah, healing is possible because now reflecting on that experience, I'm so grateful to this human for telling me that story. And I've talked about it several times with Erica, who is there with me. We bring it up often and look for examples where, the hard choice is going to Nineveh. The easy choice is running. But I know that when I run, I'm going to end up covered in fish guts. And I do not like that experience. So here we go being grown-ups and choosing Nineveh, you know? So we share that conversation with one another frequently. And there's some other components of that conversation that really stood out to Erica. And I'll maybe invite her to share with you all the impact of that reading on her and how it continues to thrive as a topic of discussion between the two of us and ways that it shows up in our lives. But yeah, that's how I know that healing is possible because I'm not covered in fish guts with my choices. And how do I know that magic is real? I mean, look, we today I engaged with two wizards who were represented as black men, which was amazing, which was acted out by a black man. Um, and there was alchemy involved in the problem solving of us turning an escape room into a really magical incantation around calling in self leadership and being sent home to self in order to literally open a portal and escape through a wall. And so the collective energy of all of our voices and power really raised the vibrational frequency of our time together and was palpable. We created joy and experience. We were all at choice in our participation, and we chose to be in community and in collaboration with one another. And that shit is magic. It's beautiful, it's alchemical, it transforms things and aids in healing. That's magic and that's real. And, lastly, love is the answer. Love is the answer to every question you have. How can I show up like love here? What happens when I am compassionate with myself instead of judging myself for all of the times that I did end up covered in fish guts, even if it was only once, right? When I show up in love and show love to the human, I can't wait to send this message to this human who told me the story of Jonah and Nineveh 5 years later to be like, hey, oh, you made a direct impact. Thank you for sharing. I don't know if you remember me, but thank you so much. And the words that you spoke into me were life bringing. And that is an expression of love. And your ability to share that love with me is directly reflect a direct reflection of the a capacity for love and the love that you have for yourself, you know. So, and we reflect each other in the sharing of that and in the communication of that, and that's a beautiful thing, you know. um the more I love myself, the more compassionate I am with myself, the softer my life becomes, the more nourished my nervous system is, um, the more ease comes to me more easily. Ease, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm ease is readily accessible. Um, Even when life is hard, I can access ease in sometimes minute ways, whether it be just from unclenching my butt cheeks while I'm standing and washing my face or washing dishes or brushing my teeth and just letting my root relax and planting myself to just be in my body, whether it's that minute or something bigger, like um, you know, checking in to um, recalibrate, or um, to regulate my nervous system without, co-regulation. Tonight I got up from a table in a really busy restaurant. It was packed and there was a lot of noise, and my back was to the restaurant primarily, so I couldn't see what was happening behind me, but I could feel a lot of the energy. Then it got louder, and the music got louder. I think to maybe drown out a very loud table that was directly behind me. And then my food got there, and it was really delicious, but it was also like spicy and flavorful and tangy. There were a lot of things happening. And then I also was like feeling a little gassy inside my body. So literally every single sense was activated at the same, and it was too much. And I noticed it again, and I was like, huh, sensory overload. I got up from the table, left half my food sitting there, got up from the table, went to the bathroom, washed my hands, walked back out of there. I needed to like see what else was going on in the space in the restaurant apart from the people, the loud people that were behind me. So I needed to orient myself, as far as like locating myself on the planet. And then I walked out of the restaurant and literally just walked. I made a loop. I just walked the block. I walked up the sidewalk, across the street, back down the sidewalk so that I could see the water and the beach. And I took some breaths while I wasn't a slow walk, but an intentional walk where I was breathing to ground while I was walking and like, just allowed myself to regulate, and then walked back into the restaurant and sat down, and I was fine. And I was able to finish my time. I just needed to get up and go move. And you can do that. You do not owe an apology or an explanation or anything. I told the person who was sitting next to me, I was like, "Oh, I'm feeling a little overloaded right now. I'm going to take a minute. I'll be right back." But there was no apology. No, "I'm so sorry, guys. I have to. Oh my God, no." That also felt like healing, and it also felt like love. I needed to love on myself because my body was having like feeling too many things at one time, and I needed to go like walk it off, literally. Like I needed to walk and fart and breathe and like literally quiet all of the external things that were happening around me and look at the ocean and remember that I am on a planet and not trapped, underneath this tall top of like dude bros screaming over margaritas in a very noisy restaurant. So, and it was fine. And I was able to get a box and my leftovers were bussing when I came back and ate them in bed, which is a much more peaceful experience for me. So healing is possible. Magic is real. Love is the answer. I am so grateful to you for listening and taking the time to walk with me on this journey. I just want to encourage you to think about times when you showed up to your calling covered in fish guts. And I want to celebrate you for showing up anyway, because you made it. Covered in fish guts or not, you going. So remember, the choice is not whether or not you arrive at the destination. It's how you show up when you get there. Are you walking in intentionally? We don't know what awaits you if you walk straight on to Nineveh. But if you run and hitch a ride with somebody else and interrupt their good time with your mess, you know, what kind of havoc are you wreaking in community, right? So there's this last piece. I know I'm really trying to close, but there was this piece that I wanted to mention that I completely forgot about. But um, the people of Nineveh end up repenting. And God saves them, right? Um, the city is humbled, like, his mission was accomplished. The people humble themselves before God, and God, like, spares the city, right? But Jonah was still salty, right? So, you know, he leaves and goes to, like, you know, he's like, I don't really buy it. Like, you were pretty serious about the whole wrath of God situation. You were going to shut the whole city down. And now, had this change of heart because they repented and threw away their silken robes and garments and have been walking around here covered in ashes, wearing sackcloth now. So what is it? Is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? What's it going to be, homie? So he's like, you know what? I'm going to just go and wait and see whether or not you keep your word. Now, because we still be hard headed. And I didn't mean to go back into preaching, but this is something that feels important to say. Because this was new information that I found when I started, reading more context about what happened with Jonah. But so he goes and builds this shelter, and while in the shelter, God, like, covers his shelter, provides a place for him. So, like, God knows what's up. He's like, oh, so you now you want to judge me for for not, you know, wreaking havoc on the city, but they did, they repented. How soon we forgot that you were 3 days deep in whale guts and begging for your life, but now you're mad because I have given the same mercy to the people of Nineveh that I showed you. Okay, bruh. Well, while you're pouting out here in your shelter in the wilderness, I'm gonna grow this mighty vine to cover your shelter to provide you with shade. Okay. So Jonah's got an attitude, though. He's still salty. So God sends a worm to, like, eat the root of the vine, and the vine withers and dies. So now Jonah is exposed to sun. He's lost his shelter. His vine has died. He is upset. Jonah's pissed. Okay. So he's pissed, becomes faint, and it says he pleads for God to kill him, begs for death, begs for wrath. And this is the part that is from the book of Jonah, chapter 4, verse 9 through 11. But God said to Jonah, do you have a right to be angry about the vine? And he said, I do. I'm angry enough to die. Jonah is big mad. He's very dramatic, as you can see, but, big mad. He's upset. But the Lord said, you have been concerned about this vine, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and many cattle as well. Should I not be concerned about that great city? So listen, you worried about small stuff that you didn't even have to work for. It just been given to you. It just been provided. You know, you just you what is it that you're what are you worried about? You're worried about the things that you have and hoarding what you believe is yours. And really, in the large scheme of things, like there are people in this world in mass who are dealing with some issues that you can't believe, right? So don't be petty. Don't be petty. Don't be petty in your gifts, in the blessings, in the grace that you show yourself. Don't compare yourself, right? Don't be out here like once you achieve your success, you follow out your mission, you attach your ego to the outcome of that mission and want it to keep, I don't know, um serving your ego. You miss the point and now you're right back in line to end up covered in fish guts again, right? Or maybe you just are covered in fish guts then. Maybe at that point you sitting out in the sun with your vine all withered and your lip poked out because you're like, look at God giving mercy to these people who followed his command. Only because they listened to me after I did what God told me to do. Damn. And now my lip is poked out. Why? So just, I thought that was an interesting little tidbit, but um this is the thing that has been in my spirit to share this week. And I'm grateful to you for listening. I'm excited to hear your thoughts and feedback about it. Maybe I got something totally wrong. I don't know. But I'm speaking from my heart and from my experience. And yeah, I'm not covered in fish guts. So I don't really care to argue about what I learned here today. So I hope you feel some resonance in what I've shared or some humor and interest, to say the least. I hope you keep listening. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the show so that we can rank it, and so that I can get an idea of like what you like or dislike about it, what works, what doesn't work, what recommendations you have. I'm open to feedback. Yeah, I'm open to feedback and really grateful for it in advance. So, um, Mental Health Awareness Month in May. We'll talk more about that as the weeks go on. And I'm sending you a lot of love. Remember, all I need you to do is continue to be light and shine. Thank you. Good night.